Hi, everyone. Wanted to give a quick market update. Today, I'm going to focus on the Main Street market with the BizBuySell Insight Report. We can turn to this while we're waiting more on the data for the middle market and the lower middle market, which will hopefully be forthcoming the next couple weeks. Obviously, Main Street isn't directly correlated to the middle market, but there is some overlap. Generally speaking, median sales prices were up in Q3, so that's great news. The number of transactions was pretty consistent with Q2, but it does continue to represent steady gains after a big drop in Q4 of 2022. Overall, activity is a good sign that buyers and sellers are coming to terms with the new economic environment, including interest rates, and that rate pressure has forced some sellers and buyers to get creative with deal structuring in order to lower the cost of capital, particularly that debt capital, including higher seller carry. Overall, small business owner confidence is low because of both inflation, which is putting pressure on them as far as wages and their costs, as well as high interest rates, which is preventing borrowing for expansion and other capital expenditures. Buyer confidence, however, as you'll see, is pretty high, including, I think, the fact that buyers are feeling like now may be a good time they can get some good deals from sellers looking to retire despite the high interest rates. One fact that I found particularly interesting is that BizBuySell, out of everyone they surveyed, 50% of the buyers said they had owned a business before. So that's a good sign for sellers that, there's some definitely experienced players in the market, even down on Main Street. One sector to highlight is manufacturing, that prices have gone up 28% in the last quarter, which is fantastic to see, or rather over the last year, which is fantastic to see. And I think a lot of that is due to increased demand for onshore manufacturing in this post-COVID world. Generally speaking, restaurant revenue has gone up, but overall the sector is struggling a little bit in figuring out how to balance rising costs surrounding both food costs as well as wage costs. One thing to underscore is that many small businesses are getting pinched in the labor market, both due to continuing labor shortages and recruiting difficulties, as well as the fact that new minimum wage laws have come into place in a lot of places around the country. That's generally the gist of the report. I also wanted to share two other things. In a recent study of private capital markets, particularly debt, by the law firm Proskauer, they released that the default rate on private loans is down. The default rate basically was trending roughly around a little bit over 2% around the beginning of the year, and now it's down closer to around a little bit over 1%. So that was really good to see. It shows that in general, middle market companies are meeting their debt obligations. And the other thing I wanted to share that is reflected up market of what we're seeing in this BizBuySell report is that private equity firms and their acquisitions are now relying more on their own equity financing versus debt financing. So that's a quick take of the market, and hopefully, like I said, we'll have more data sort of pinpointed to the middle market in the coming weeks. All right, thanks.